George Floyd's death in May of 2020, there have been local, state, federal proposals for police reform. Well, the House of Representatives recently put support behind the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
And in Suffolk County, Assemblyman Phil Ramos working on something for New York State. He joins us now to talk more about this. Good morning to you, Assemblyman. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So I do want to begin first and foremost before we get into the other news. The headline of this morning that I'm sure you've heard about: 8 people killed in shootings at massage parlors in and around the Atlanta region. Investigators are now looking into if those attacks are racially motivated, right? As we know here, we've talked about it a lot, anti-Asian hate crimes are up. Is the Assembly working on anything to address the problem here locally?
As far as the bias crimes, yes. We have implemented a bunch of reforms. The problem is there's always been a reluctance to prosecute and to make the arrest when it comes to bias crimes. I have legislation that creates a pro-arrest policy. For instance, the situation with people calling false reports on people of color, there's a tendency to minimize this and not arrest the perpetrator. So legislation is put out there now to make a pro-arrest policy.
Why? Why is it like that?
Well, I believe it's because there's a culture in which if a person of color commits a crime, the bar is very low to bring somebody into custody. But if somebody claims racism, unless they can prove it every which way but Sunday, and sometimes even seeing a video doesn't prove that something was biased. It's just a culture that needs to be changed.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what you're working on, because since the death of George Floyd, people reform has been a part of this national conversation, right, as well as locally. And you've been working on 2 police reform bills. Tell us a little bit more about each of them.
Yes, these 2 bills go to the core of the issues that we're having nationally with police abuse. One bill, what it does is it's a very simple bill. It makes police officers into mandated reporters of police abuse, very similar to the way social workers must report child abuse, otherwise they would be liable. In this case, we see many cases where there'll be 4 or 5 officers. One might be choking somebody out or killing somebody or beating somebody. The other officers stand around. At most, one officer will get arrested. Half the times he gets off down the road, but then the other officers, nothing happens to them. To me, they are acting in concert. If they don't, and they are derelict of their duty, if they see a fellow officer abusing somebody and they do nothing and they say nothing. So this bill brings penalties to police officers who allow abuse to happen in front of them and they don't take action.
And that's what seems to be going on right now in Suffolk County. The police department currently under investigation for this recent alleged assault on an individual who was handcuffed in police custody. We were just showing the video. The development really has now sparked a call for reform in Suffolk County, which sounds like you have begun the conversation on. What is the talk between the community, lawmakers, and law enforcement? Because when you look at the video, right, people might say, well, I don't trust the police then.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. And the police department needs the community in order to solve crimes and do their job. They need the cooperation of the community. We always hear, well, most cops are good. And I wonder if you're a assemblyman who was a police officer for 20 years. And I can tell you that there are many, and the vast majority are good officers. But if an officer stands around and watches his partner kill somebody or beat somebody or abuse somebody, I take them off the list of good officers. Simply doing nothing doesn't make you a good officer. You have a duty to enforce the law. And if you see the law broken, as people of color, we have to have this conversation with our children all the time. We have 2 conversations. One is how not to get killed by the police. Secondly, the second conversation we have is that if you're in a group of 4 or 5 friends and your friends do something wrong and you're with them, you're going to go down for what acting in concert in their crime. So don't be in the company, don't be involved in these things.
And it should be the same rule when it comes to officers, which is what you're trying to say. There is accountability that needs to be held here. All right, I want to shift gears just a bit because today Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie is expected to announce that the hiring of an outside law firm to help with the Judiciary Committee with its impeachment investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo. So as more women come forward, where do you stand on these impeachment proceedings? Do you want to see that happen? Also, do you want him to resign?
What I want to say is that the women are heard. They have an absolute, there's an obligation for them to be heard in the proper forum. Not something that should be, the press plays an important role in this, but to inform the people. But it's, it's the court of law in our systems that really bring out the facts, and the women have an absolute right to be heard in that forum. The Attorney General is conducting an investigation. The Assembly is taking some measures. I believe that those systems should play themselves out, and faced with the facts, I will form an opinion as to what should be done.
That brings me to the state budget, right? Because you're currently working on the budget right now. There's a lot of talk right now about the resignation impeachment clouding the ability for the Assembly to work with the governor at the most crucial time on the backside of the pandemic here. Do you think that you can pass a budget and work closely with the governor with all of this being talked about?
Yes, we are laser focused on that. We must provide for our schools. We must provide for the situation of the coronavirus. We have an extraordinary year this year, and we have to face many of these issues. And we have to. The simple answer is we have to do it. We have an obligation to the public of New York State, the residents of New York State, to get through this budget and provide for them.
All right, Assemblyman Ramos, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much.